Let's just start off straight away with TVNZ. We're going to use TVNZ footage here. Talking about, now there's 2 polls. There's 3 polls actually to go over, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on any one of them, but let's have a look where we're at 3 days out from the election.
We polled from Saturday until last night, and as we count down to Election Day this Saturday, here's how the numbers have landed. National is on 37, up 1 from last week. Labour is on 28, up 2. The Greens are on 14,
meteoric
up
rise.
1. ACT is on 9,
so close to
dipping
15.
1. New Zealand First is steady on 6. And both the Opportunities Party and Te Pāti Māori are steady on 2.
All right, let's have a look there at the numbers, because you can add these all together and you can see that Te Pāti Māori plus 28 is 30, so there's 44. And then you look at these guys, there's 37 plus 9, that would be 46. 44 plays 46 in this poll, with the Grinchling down here on 6% in the middle. Obviously, Te Pāti Māori has seats and stuff as well, and there's now going to be a crazy overhang because of that by-election, which seems like it's going to favour National. There's actually been, you know, we've been talking about there's been an uphill slope. There's now been a bit of a boulder put in that path as well that makes that climb a little bit harder with that by-election, because there's already going to be an overhang, which means it would seem, based on who owns that seat now, that National may get themselves an additional MP in there as well.
Let's take a look at some of the other parties now.
Yeah.
New Zealand Loyal, Freedoms New Zealand and New Zealand are all steady on 1. And Democracy New Zealand has gone up 1 since last week.
Look at that.
The number of Kiwis who don't know how they'll vote or refuse to answer is 9%, down 1. So let's swing over here and translate that to seats in Parliament now. That makes him even with Chris Hipkins, also on 25.
So Luxon's come
Winston
down.
Peters is on 5.
Remember all the news last week? Oh, you know, Christopher Luxon now preferred Prime Minister. Oh.
5, up 1. ACT leader David Seymour is also up 1, now on 4. And 3 Green MPs are also having an impact. Chloe Swarbrick, James Shaw and Marama Davidson are all on 2.
Yeah. But that's pretty cool. So for a Green Prime Minister, you have 6%, which is now, much like their party, the 3rd biggest pool. So there's TVNZ. As I said, we're not going to go through all of the story at the end, because I am going to play a little bit of the Newshub one as well, which maybe we'll just get straight to, actually, because the Newshub one has some analysis at the end that's worth talking about. Because so that one was pretty much of a muchness. You could see that National ACT and New Zealand First could get the right there. Labour, Green, Te Pāti Māori, New Zealand First weren't quite as close. They were a few points behind. But the trend for this last day of polling is interesting. Let's check out the Newshub. Actually, I'm just trying to go back, because I'm just now double questioning what I've just said. Let me go back. So what is the combination of... right, here we go. So Labour would be 28. Green would make it 42. Te Pāti Māori would make it 44. New Zealand First would make it 50. So actually, New Zealand First could go either way and get both sides in this conversation. And, you know, I think Top made a mistake by kind of pledging their allegiances to...
they really did.
To National, because imagine right now, the pitch would be to everyone on the left, all of those people in Ireland who are now like, what? No, would be like, give them your vote, give them your vote, give them your vote. And I think that might come in to bite them in the ass. Will they still with Ireland? I don't know. We'll wait and see, but we'll have a look. So just barely by the skin of their teeth, Winston Peters could put both sides in with that poll. Let's have a look at Newshub.
And Jenna, this is not great news for the Nats just 3 days out.
National's been right to panic. Its vote is plummeting. It peaked too soon and is looking to snatch chaos from the jaws of victory. National...
It might end up being that, you know, I mean, you can't change this, but if the election was in another month with all these downward trends from the right, who knows?
Now on 34.5%, crashing down 4.6 points. Labour, you're still losing though, 27.5%, only picking up 1 point. The Greens' conspicuous absence from much of this campaign is doing their
15.
vote wonders. 14.9%, up 0.7.
Not close to
Look-
the magic number.
But look at them compared to ACT, basically double. They were legal, just a month, 6 weeks, 2 months ago, they were level pegging it all the way through.
And ACT's fall from grace is baked in, stalling on 8.8. And look who's gobbling up the vote. Timing is run perfectly. Winston Peters, New Zealand First,
said yesterday.
6.8%, up 1.6. Over in Minnow Land, Te Pāti Māori still not making a break for the 5%.
One of the concerning things about this is there was a little bit of chatter today around Rawiri needing to win his seat and some question about is he at risk of losing it. Hope not. Hope they've got it in hand, because if he loses his seat and then Labour snaps up all the other ones, then Māori Party are gone. So if you're in that Māori electorate, make sure you get out there and vote for Rawiri.
Threshold 2.7%.
Are we allowed to do that? We can tell people who to vote for. If I was you, I don't know, whatever. We want Rawiri in there. For no other reason, there must be a cowboy hat in Parliament at all times, I feel.
Top is on 2.2, and a new entrant here, New Zealand loyal conspiracy candidate Liz Gunn's Party of Two, on 1.4%.
That's kind of weird because she said they were going to get 30%. There must be a real big surge for her in the last 3 days, I guess, because that's approximately 30% away from 30%, approximately. But
Now remember, she's still got to get all of her loyal voters to go and find a JP that's going to sign off on a letter that said that they voted for New Zealand loyal, so she can contest the broken voting machines.
We're sitting upstairs the other night and we started talking about their party and started talking about this idea of building a bridge between New Zealand and Australia. And for the first time, I kind of went,
between your two.
how far is that? And we had a look and it's like 3,000 Ks. And I'm like, so that's 2 days drive. Okay. So you have to build petrol stations and you have to build charging stations all the way along that road bridge as well. You're going to have accommodation because it's a 2 day drive. It's 3,000 Ks. It's actually probably a lot more like a three. That's the from either side to America. Most people don't do that in 2 days. And I'm just like, forget the logistics of the engineering of it. It's like, what? You just think people are just going to drive all the way and not stop at any stage for 3,000 Ks. Ludicrous. Sorry. That was a side note.
Liz Gunn said she'd get 2 million votes. So
she's on the way.
I assume that 1.4% is that 2 million votes, and the population of New Zealand is just a lot higher than I remember it being.
But remember, a famous philosopher once said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So I'm sure in the next 3 days she'll pick the rest of them up. She's taken the one step. Hey, she's probably taken a third of a step, but she'll get the rest. She'll get there.
Let's build
as
a
always,
coalition.
Remember the margin of error. They could be minus 1.7%.
Now, here's something I wanted to show you about their
Labour
poll.
gets 35 seats, the Greens 19 and Te Pāti Māori 3 as long as they hold on to an electorate. That adds up to 57.
So according to their polls, they're 4 seats away.
Not enough. National gets 43, add ACT's 11, 54, lower than the left bloc now, and they need 9 from New Zealand First. 3 days out from D-Day, National has created its own chaos out from D-Day.
Now, here's the thing though, right? This is really interesting. And I tweeted about this today, and it's kind of come to pass in this poll. I tweeted the reason that the right is panicking so much and Luxon is panicking so much is that they're within the margin of error of not being able to form a government even with the 3 parties. So that's 4 seats, right? Well, it's 3 seats because they're at 63. So it's actually they're 3 seats. So the right bloc, if you include New Zealand First over there, is 3 seats away, these 3 up here, whatever that works out in percentage points, from not being able to get 50% or 50.1% of the seats. They're 3 seats away, even with New Zealand First, of not being able to form a government. That's why this is a knife edge. That's why everyone should get out there and vote. And that's why it's still pretty much game on. Now, in saying all of that, I still think there's a favourite to win this. I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's ass, but there's a saying I heard once, Chewy. I can't remember it. It's something about voting and winning. Do you have any idea what it was?
Oh, no idea at all, Pat.
Are you sure?
Oh,
What, do we remember? Do we remember what that was? No,
Look at my bosoms.
no.
Look at them.
That right now, I know we coined that phrase, but that right now
We
could not be truer. Could not be truer. That if you look at the results, even the first one from TVNZ, 3, 4, 5 seats. This one, 3 seats. I'm going to show you another one shortly as well. But they're within cooey, within margin of error of not being able to form a government based on the polls, even with New Zealand First in there as well, Chewy. Now, I want to go on with this story, but I've paused us. So, yeah, geez. You got a nipple ring?
This is the time, people. Do you enjoy bullying your workmates to spend their lunch break going down to the nearest polling booth? And you should do that. You should do some workplace bullying. Same if you've got a mate who is that frustrating. Oh, it doesn't matter. My vote doesn't matter. Rah. This does. It does. It matters a whole lot, especially if they're a lefty, or especially if you think you can talk some sense into them. I did see, was it last night, or it might have been a Twitter comment that I saw somebody going, I had a mate who just wanted to vote for someone that would cause a ruckus, so they were going to vote for New Zealand First, and they just showed him clips of Te Pāti Māori really just rattling the cage of Parliament, and he goes, yeah, these are my people. Yeah. I like this guy. I like Rawiri. First
time I ever voted Greens, I think I was probably 20 or 19 in the first election, and it was might have been the first MMP election. I can't remember, but I didn't really know too much about it. But I just had this feeling that these crazy Greens with Sue Bradford and all these people in there, that its perspective in Parliament was important. I wasn't really involved or wasn't really politically, sort of switched on, but I just thought that voice, a new voice, something to rack things up, was worthy of being there. So I completely get what that person was saying.
Was a jaw kicker.
Yeah, man.
She was not there for just the normal way of getting things done. So, yeah. Sue Bradford does rock.
Yeah, she does actually. Did I tell you that she gave us she did our podcast as well, and I got it because she did the anti-smacking bill. I got her to sign a wooden spoon. So we got a wooden spoon signed by Sue Bradford. All right, let's keep going with this story because I do want to get a little bit more of the information out.
National has created its own chaos and is panicking in the face of Winston Peters. Jumping off the toot toot chugga chugga big blue bus, burning up the country like some kind of premature victory tour. But, someone slammed the gear stick in reverse.
Your vote has crashed nearly 5 points. Why?
We've got great momentum on the ground, I can tell.
Again, just no acknowledging the question and no acknowledging what's happened. I mean, it would make more sense to go, well, one poll from you guys has gone, these polls have gone up, and what we're focusing on is the poll that is election day. But just, it's almost like, I don't know, you put a coin in it's like the magic 8 ball. And it just gives you 8 answers, and that's it, no matter what you ask them. So he's going to try and sell the idea that they've got great momentum, whilst the trend for the right is currently down. So if you've got momentum, it's downhill momentum. All of the polls are saying that.
Backward momentum, perhaps.
It's like, let's get this frickin' show on the road.
National began the campaign up in the 40s. Its vote has dwindled to 34.5.
You peaked too soon, didn't you?
Oh, I disagree. We've got great momentum in our campaign, fantastic momentum, and we've done an incredible job, but it's not done.
The job for the other Chris, much tougher, but he's still dreaming of a red Christmas.
Christmas might come early. All right.
His friend and former commander giving the gift of support in the final hours.
Chris Hipkins, he's a good person, and he does deserve your support.
His groupies buying the hype.
I don't know about wheeling Jacinda out. I mean, I like her, and I think she's done great, but they made a strategic decision that her connection to the mandates and COVID and stuff was going to be a net negative. That's obviously what they decided because they let her go and pushed her aside. To bring her back in the last couple of days, if they'd made that, unless they were acknowledging they made a mistake. I think they did. I think that they should have been screaming their positives. Research out recently says 20,000 lives were saved. 20,000 New Zealanders, I was going to say are still alive. Some of them may have passed since because they were elderly, but were saved from what Jacinda and the Labour government did. But they've obviously gone, too hard, let's stay away from this. But in the 11th hour, bringing her back in, I mean, I think that they I think that I like her and I like what she's got to say, and but I'm just interested as to how that conversation started 6 to 10 weeks ago versus 3 days out. Just interested.
I mean, I said on Twitter the other day in response to John Key being wheeled out and then Helen Clark being wheeled out, is I don't care what side it is, bringing out a former leader always leaves me a bit cold because they're a former leader, right? And like I get it, you're this close to the line, it's a really close election, why leave someone on the bench? Like,
yeah, and look,
you've got
I guess
no
the people
money.
the people who aren't going to vote because of just still aren't going to vote. But if she could bring in another, I mean, this election will come down to 100,000 votes. If she can get another 5,000 across the line, then yeah, it's a good idea. We'll keep going, eh?
Yeah.
But Hipkins is moving on up way too slow. Speeding up to a crawling start as the campaign draws to a close.
Here we go. Swinging in behind Labor in the last few days of the campaign, and I think our numbers are going to continue to go up.
A couple more are swinging in behind him. 22.2 picked him as their preferred Prime Minister, up 3.1, but still lagging behind Luxon. He's on 23.6%.
So there you go. So they still have Luxon as preferred Prime Minister, but it's just it's a metric. I'm also going to show you, we don't normally do this, but I'm going to show you the commentary at the end that Jenna shares with their presenters there, because it's an interesting perspective. Let's have a listen.
Okay.
Well, okay, Jenna, so what's gone wrong for National?
Two major strikes at the heart of their campaign. The oversell, underdeliver of their tax plan. Newshub's revelation that the $250 would only reach 3,000 families. That's sure to have dealt a massive blow. As people realise they have been sold.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
But
they keep saying that. But I think CTU maybe gave it to them as an exclusive. But every time she says our revelation, our exclusive news,
you didn't do the work, Jenna.
No, not at all.
A pup. Secondly, National's strategy of ruling in Winston Peters has blown up in their face.
100%.
They gave him oxygen. They legitimised a vote for him. They pulled him back across the threshold, and he has gone from strength to strength. Their messaging around him since then has been nothing short of hysterical, panicking, threatening second elections, casting fear and confusion about how on earth they can work together. In 73 hours, it'll start to become clear how much damage has been done across the major parties and which side can muster the miners to limp across the line.
So you got I want to point this out, and I know you're all smart enough to know this, but I don't know whether I thought this up myself or heard someone say it today, but the National Party refused to rule Winston out. They then ruled Winston in. And since that, they've been literally advertising and begging people not to vote for Winston. And now they're stuck with a situation that they're going to be beholden to Winston, potentially, if all the numbers pan out to be what they are. This is the leadership. One of the things I do take away from Bomber's show tonight, I think all of them were in agreement that if National Act get in, all of them, this will be the worst government New Zealand has ever had.
Yeah.
Chewy.
That's fucking scary though, right? Like, does anybody, and I mean across the spectrum, does anybody realistically, anyone that has been paying attention to this whole run, I'm not just talking about Joe Man on the street reads the headlines and stuff and rolls with it. I'm talking about anybody that has paid attention on either side of the political spectrum. Does anybody feel comfortable? I know I don't. I don't think it's in the bag one way or the other.
No.
If my team doesn't get in, I am dreading the quality of government that it is going to deliver. Yeah. I am dreading the people that are just going to get thrown on the landfill pile, and how emboldened certain people are going to be, and the amount of just treasure that is going to get stacked up in people's Excel spreadsheets and stuff, while we have more people living on the streets with less government agencies trying to get them off the streets.
Yep. And then they'll strip the back rooms, and then there'll be a natural disaster, and it'll be a terrible response. You know, they'll give $1 million tax cuts to the wealthiest landlords, and renters won't see any of it. It's like, I mean, we were talking about Ruth Richardson yesterday. Cash registers at accident and emergencies, literal in her day. You know, who knows?
Yep.
Who knows what's coming?
Yeah, that horrible lemon colored gremlin. We'll make an addition to the if National get into our special limited edition blue T-shirt that we're going to do, that says on the front, "I am very bad at this." On the back, we have the BHN logo, and we fucking told you so.
I was thinking maybe if we do our election thing this weekend, maybe the week after we can do some merch. All I got from this election was watching election night with Pat and Chewy on the front, something like that,
and a hangover.
Let me have a look at some of the comments that are coming. This is specifically about Jacinda. I disagree, says Rascal. I think they wanted to make sure Chippy isn't riding her coattails, meaning that's why she went away. Fair enough, might be the case. And look, I'm actually not suggesting it's a bad thing either. I like Jacinda, and I think she did really well. I don't care what people say. I think the evidence shows they did really well. I just wonder why now, and like why not earlier. That's all. They were damned if they did, damned if they didn't. It was simple and genuine.
Yep.
Accept that. I get that. And Heart Divided says, according to Chippy, today she offered and they accepted. So there's that one as well. Another interesting comment here, and I think we would probably echo this. Craig Rennie is from the CDU as the MVP of this election. I don't think. I mean, I was thinking about trying to get. Part of me was thinking about trying to get Craig on. He's already said he'd come on, but I sort of am waiting to see what happens with YouTube. But if we get cleared up tomorrow, maybe I'll message him and see if he can come on tomorrow night for that last show and see what we're doing. Now, Chewy, we're not finished with the polls yet, though, because there was another poll out today, and this actually ties us all the way back. We've gone from TVNZ kind of saying, well, you know, it's leaning national, to Newshub going, well, you know, it's on a knife edge. It could go either way. Guardian today puts out a poll, and actually I've done the numbers over here, so I'll go and do them myself from my Twitter account. That had National down 0.5, ACT down 2.4, Labour up 3.4, Greens down 0.4, New Zealand First up 2.2, Te Pāti Māori up 0.6, and then the other rands. And it meant that National and ACT were on 41.9% combined, Labour, Green, Te Pāti Māori 42.8%. Again, with New Zealand First being the balance of power. Now, New Zealand First in this poll is higher than ACT. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a couple of young fellas last night who were talking something about that, weren't they? I'm sure we'll get a poll or two out this week that ACT really, I mean, the idea that Winston has perfect timing. I don't know whether it was planned and we can give him credit for that or it was just by coincidence, but perfect timing, and ACT the opposite. ACT is really dropping away, and Winston seems to be siphoning them up, so it'll be, gosh, okay, I'll say something publicly. I don't know if this will happen or not, but imagine if Winston got more votes than ACT. Gosh, what would happen then?
Well,
there you go. So it's only one poll, but I think it also goes to show the decline of ACT. But it's probably a little bit like this. If you're the best boxer in the world, best there's ever been, and you're coming up against an amateur, and you decline, and I'm not saying National's the best in the world, and you decline 80% of your skill, you still might have enough to get over that person. So there's a definite decline on the right. As I said, if it was in a month from now, maybe it would be closer. Maybe it would be more favourable to the left. It's almost like, you know, Maya Angelou. When people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. You know, when they say it, when the right say it, believe them. And the more they say, the more people seem to believe. And the more they believe, the less they like. So should National and ACT get over the line this weekend with New Zealand First? It's going to be by the skin of their teeth, in my opinion, and it's going to be only because they haven't had longer to keep showing people who they really are.